That's 5 wins in a row for the Twins, who now host the San Francisco Giants for 3 games at Target Field. We won't see the Twins promote top pitching prospects Zebby Matthews or David Festa in time for Friday or Saturday, or even Sunday because that's Pablo Day. But what about next week when they swing into Baltimore? The time seems right for Zebby and Festa to join the Twins' winning ways. You know what else it's time for? It's time for you to get locked on Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team. It's yours every day. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who doesn't actually remember when the Twins promoted Kent Hrbek and Gary Gaetti, but I do know that the Twins were never the same after that. I'm also a BBWAA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warren, who's probably more of a Doug Minkiewicz, Christian Guzman debut rememberer. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. You can't find us at Puckett's Pond because it's been evaporated, but there's always Access Twins and zone coverage. On the podcast this time, it's time to stop messing around and promote Zebby Matthews and David Festa, who would transform the Twins' starting rotation into a superpower. The Twins are rolling, and we'll recap the conclusion of the Orioles series, Game 3, which somehow Baltimore didn't win. The Giants are up next, and the Twins swear that Joe Ryan will start Saturday after he missed Thursday and Friday with the quote, "the worst illness of my life." That's Joe Ryan saying that. I wasn't sick. He's been working on it for years, but now Griffin Jax is added a cutter to his repertoire. That's another thing we'll talk about. But first, this episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox with no console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On. That's one word, Fire TV Locked On, to learn more.
Fire.
Zebby and Festa now. I want them now. I want them now. They're not going to be here now. They're not going to be here on Friday, or at least we haven't gotten word that they are. I don't know if they're about to be promoted, but I think it would be a very good idea. The starting rotation for the Twins does not... I mean, even the big guys don't necessarily go deep into games as much as we'd like. They're still kind of creeping along as far as innings go. I think they are 21st, tied for 21st, although actually the last time I looked, it was before yesterday's games. There's something like they're in the bottom third of major league pitching staffs in innings pitched, right up there with Cleveland. And to overcome or to stay with or whatever in the AL Central, the Twins should expand on their good starting pitching by adding Zebby and Festa to it from AAA. Now, I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but I want to make it work. Let's make it work now, Brandon. Let's make it work now.
I've got a shaky back end and I need help now. Call Toby Gardenhire, 877 help now. I like it. I don't know how it would work either. And when I saw that was a talking point for you, I wondered 6-man rotation. I wondered a lot of different things. But if you're going to get the best 13 pitchers in the organization in terms of can help this team right now, so we're not talking Dason Hill, we're not talking Connor Prelup, all their big-time prospects, that's the way to go. I don't know how you differentiate, disseminate, educate, evaporate who gets a rotation spot, or if you do 6-man and move Paddock to the bullpen. Paddock has been fine since those first 2 starts. I don't want to overstate it. He's also only gone 5 innings in each of his last 5 starts. So it's not as though he's an immovable object from the rotation. Now, the way baseball decisions are made, he's a free agent to be. They don't probably want to jerk him around too much. But with that said, This isn't a situation where you really got to protect a vested veteran like a Charlie Morton. That would be a guy where you're more likely to say, okay. And even the Orioles moved him to the bullpen. Now, granted, not synonymous situations. Charlie Morton's been much worse than Chris Paddock, but if you're going to catch up to Detroit or even just make progress in that direction, we've talked about the wild cards and the number that there are, you do have to optimize your pitching staff at some point. And at some point, those guys are wasting bullets with St. Paul. So as much as when I saw that point, I was like, that's interesting. I don't know if I'm going to agree with it, but I'll hear you out. Yeah, I mean, they already have enough issues with an offense that hasn't stayed healthy to this point. We've seen too much Mickey Gasper. We've seen too much, Jonah Bride, even Cody Clemens. That we're seeing them at all is cause for concern in the sense that they need guys to stay healthy. Although it sounds like Jose Miranda, for what it's worth, is on his way back to St. Paul, health-wise. So, yeah, as long as things are going positive, I still think you can make some moves. You can shuffle some deck chairs. And also, too, kudos to Bailey Ober for stepping in. Besides, that was a gutsy outing. And as I said in the postgame minute, he stranded runner or runners in each of the 5 innings to start the game. And it was traffic all day. So just all in all, you got to like where the team is right now, but that doesn't mean you can't make a couple changes.
I don't think Bailey Ober's ever worked harder in a start in his life. He said afterward he was really tired too. There was a lot of traffic. I was looking up and I'm like, well, there's always somebody on second and third with nobody out. How are they going to get out of it this time? Well, they do for the most part. Some of the worst defense and then also the best defense. Brooks Lee botched a double play, but then turned a double play. It was another 5-inning start, which is, I don't think Zebby and Festa are going to go out there and lay down 7 and 8 innings every time. I don't see that. We don't see Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez doing that, or even Bailey very much. But I do think it is a way to, by bringing up Zebby and Festa, who are pitching well at AAA, it is a way to maximize one of the best parts of the team so far and sort of turn it into a super weapon and take away some guys who are if everything else was going great, if the team was in first place, if it was leading instead of chasing, you could deal with how SWR and Paddock have been pitching out of 4 and 5 and be happy with it and be like, hey, this is great. But I think they need to maximize for a couple different reasons, maximize the strength. And one of those is to make sure that the bullpen doesn't get overworked. There was a situation in Wednesday's game where with SWR pitching that I thought Rocco did it was very aggressive. It was actually kind of Stephen Vogt-like. He went to him in the 5th inning. He went to the bullpen when traffic was getting to SWR. He'd given up 3. I think one of the hits wasn't all that hard, Emmanuel Rivera. But the other 2 were hard. He had given up maybe 4 hard hit balls lately in the inning. And it was time. I mean, he'd only thrown 61 pitches, but that was a good time. If the Twins are in a situation where they need to stack wins, that was a big, there was no reliever in the game who had more leverage than Danny Coulomb at that point. He came in, he got the job done right in the middle of the game. I kind of worry about Danny Coulomb. I don't worry about the bullpen being overworked yet or in general. He's the one guy, though, that I worry about because he's got 51 inning, not a ceiling, but he's never pitched more than 51 innings in a season in the major leagues. And he is on pace to do a little bit more than that. I think with my weird math, I think it's like 54 innings at this point. But that's usually with breaks, with injury breaks, with time off. Like he had last year. He had elbow surgery. He had bone chips removed from his elbow and missed a couple of months and came back and pitched anyway, even though he wasn't ready yet. I think that he's played well as anybody in their role on the team this year, Coulomb. But I don't know if he's going to be there in August and September the way things are going now. So the less stress the Twins can put on the bullpen, the less stress they can put on the lineup that that already is putting stress on itself to come through, just make it a little less stressful for them to get that big hit. They're not always going to do it. They don't have a particularly great record overall of coming through. The last few games they have added on late in games and given them the team bigger leads to work with. But I think a stronger starting pitching staff means a stronger bullpen, means a stronger offense. And 6-man rotation, you brought it up. I don't think it's going to work. Because it would mean you would need a 7-man bullpen instead. You can't just make a 6-man rotation and use Paddock because you can only have 13 pitchers.
Right.
So, and I don't know that Rocco's going to go for that. I mean, that's kind of, I wonder if that's unintended consequences of the 13-man major league rule about relief pitchers, which I don't think they should have anyway.
Yeah.
Teams should be able to do what they want. The libertarian in me. So that's not going to work. And, you're going to have to do something you're going to have to make up an injury for Alcala to get right. Alcala's weird because his stuff has been good, but he's got terrible command and he hasn't been able to get anybody out. And he's got options, but he's got to approve the option because he's got service time at this point to do so. So, and there's no, you can put down Topa, I guess, but Topa's pitching well. And that's going to mess with his head if he suddenly, for some cockamamie idea about adding to the starting rotation, now he's back in St. Paul, even though he's healthy, wasting bullets. So there's only so much they can do at this point. And there's only so much we can do because we got to take a commercial break.
Before we run to break, I just want to sum up Bailey Ober's day, the whole reason why the bullpen worked as much as it did. Orioles went 2 for 13 with risky business, runners in scoring position. They feel a lot like the Twins from a couple weeks ago. But in the first inning, they stranded a runner on first. In the second, they stranded second and third. In the third, they stranded second and third. In the fourth, they stranded a runner on third. And on second and third, in the fifth. So daunted by that, the Orioles said, forget all this. We're not stranding any more runners. Emmanuel Rivera, not Erod, Emma, gets thrown out at the plate, and that's it. The Orioles are like, whatever, we're not doing base runners anymore. This is clearly not working. Larnach hits his homer 2 batters later, and the rest was history. That was a master class in handling traffic by Mr. Bailey Ober.
It sure was. And we can even talk a little bit more about the details of the game in later segments. But still, it was only 5 innings, and there's more stress on the rest of the pitching. Nothing against Ober. I mean, he's been fine. He's been more than fine. He's been doing his job. But the Twins need more from their starters. And then I think I've said that enough. Let's go to commercial.
All right, let's do just that. All right, here's the new one. Let's be real. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's a ritual, a lifeline, a thing that gets you from half asleep to fully functioning. Your mileage may vary what fully functioning means, but if it's that essential like it is for me, why settle for anything less than amazing? And that's where our friends at Trade Coffee come in. If you are not watching on YouTube, I am demonstrating what my specific order looked like from Huck. A bag of tasty coffee from your friends at Huckleberry Roasters in Denver, Colorado. And the 3 notes that it says are milk chocolate, graham cracker, and almond butter. Amazing. Just amazing. I don't know if they had me down as a fat kid or something, but that sounds terrific. I have not opened it yet. I just received it. So I've done the sniff test. And I can't wait. Literally, after we're done, I'm going to grind some up, make some cold brew, and have a full scouting report on our next show. Coffee, though. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S., delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters like Huck in Denver. Whether you're a cold brew fan or pour-over purist, they've got a roast you'll love. And again, Huck is where I got mine from, but they'll help you out. They will kind of get your tastes and the sort of things that you like and hook you up well. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's TRADE. Like maybe the Twins will trade all their good players to the Yankees at the deadline. Tongue in cheek there. .com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. And of course, did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? If you didn't, you're like me, because when we started working with Amazon Fire TV, I had no idea that I could turn my Fire TV into an Xbox. You can turn it into a gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console is required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25. Fantastic game, I might add. And Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. It's the latest technology for elevated playing with Wi-Fi 6 and 6E and auto low latency mode advanced technology. Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds you need to stay competitive. Head over to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required, but it is available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, the second generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, first and second generation, and Fire TV Cube, third generation. That's Amazon Fire Stick and Fire TV.
Locked On Twins is back. Second segment, talking a little bit more about the series sweep of the Orioles. I think the Twins did a good job of. They were sort of neck and neck with the Orioles before about like who's underachieving more. The Twins have certainly passed that bet to them. The Orioles are definitely underachieving more.
Yep.
So congratulations for the Twins for winning that little mini World Series. One thing about the game that I liked, this was a game that was difficult to watch while it was going on. But now, after it's happened, I have more of an appreciation for it because every inning, the Orioles were putting two guys in scoring position, and it was like, this is going to be the big hit. No, well, this is going to be the big hit. They're going to pull away now, and they never did. And even with Buxton's throw on Rivera at the plate, it was very bang bang, and I said on Twitter, where I shouldn't really be talking anyway because it's dead.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed with the umpire. I'm impressed with the umpires that they make these calls correctly, because that was like you got to be looking at two different places at once. It was very bang bang at the plate. He was out. They looked at it on replay review, but he could have very easily called him safe. And I don't know. I think we give the umpires a hard time, mostly with their inconsistent strike zones, but they're usually really good on the bases. Mm-hmm. And these calls that to me are very difficult, but it was good because the Twins, it was a little anticlimactic because replay reviews always add the anticlimax to it feature, especially at the end of a game. But it was great that Buxton made the play. It's another way that Buxton has been. Rocco said, I can't imagine an outfield somewhere playing better defense than ours right now. And it's really true. The outfield has been terrific, and it was Buxton again showing off his renewed life after 30 bod.
I don't want to take away jobs from anyone, and I'm actually not talking about umpires here, but I feel like the rule for reviews is you should not be able to check with your replay coordinator. I think if the umpire calls it in real time, whatever you see from the dugout should also apply. And it would give you a different level of trust in players. It would remind me a little bit of the not home run, but replay system which is strange to me. You get two of them, up to two of them, and that's it. So, with that said, though, very, very accurate. We do take for granted that. And I think all it really takes for us with our survivor bias or lack thereof is one bad call to go against our team or one perceived bad call. And then all of a sudden all umpires are public enemy number one, and public enemy number two is your third base coach after a bad send home. So it Yeah, the way the Twins battled and came back, and particularly frustrating for the Orioles. They get a terrific start from Dean Kramer, who I was certain was a left-handed pitcher. Didn't you have somebody that you thought was a righty? There was a righty that was lying about being a righty.
That sounds like something I would say, Brandon, but I can't think of who you mean.
It was 6 or 7 years ago, but I remember it distinctly.
Okay.
I don't know. I say I remember it distinctly, but I don't remember the player. Maybe it was like who was that righty for the Blue Jays who was solid? Marco, was there a Marco something? I don't know.
Marco Gonzalez? No.
The dude that would, no. Anyway, I'll try find it while you tap dance. But yeah, in general,
one of the things. Yeah, one of the
Marco Estrada.
Yes.
Is that him?
That could be.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
I mean, he's obviously right-handed, but I guess that does sort of sound like a left-handed person. But yesterday's game, difficult to watch as it was happening, but I appreciate it now that it's over. Another battler in the Bailey Ober vein was Brooks Lee, who struck out 3 times before his 4th at bat, and then put the team ahead with an RBI double in the 8th inning, and he was very excited about it. He said some things too. I just tried to keep my composure, Lee said. I have to thank my teammates, Bader, Buxton, and Wallner, he's not even playing. He's on the injured list, for telling me to keep my head and stay focused. So that was nice of him. He didn't really have to come out and say that, but Brooks Lee does seem like a guy who enjoys being on the team in the sense of, this is 26 against 26. This isn't one against. Baseball can be very individualized where you're kind of out on your own island.
He's a coach's son, so that can go one of 2 ways. Either you're sick of it or you love it.
Right. So, and that's another, even last year as he was struggling, you noticed that sometimes Brooks Lee would get a big hit late in a game to put the team ahead. Mm-hmm. The gene is in there. I think, he's another reason. We got Royce Lewis at third base, still getting his feet wet. In a perfect world, that's maybe a guy who would be taking some of these at bats in AAA on his rehab assignment. But I think he's healthy. He runs to first base like he's healthy. He's obviously not hitting well. He's out of sorts. He hasn't had very much in the way of spring training or anything like that. So he's behind everybody.
He's over his last 20, something like that.
That's not good.
Into the last. Yeah.
Let's not heap last year on Royce or Brooks for that matter. Brooks didn't end up last year well either. But I think it's better to have Royce Lewis taking these at bats than some of these other guys who would be like, do you want to see? I know Cody Clemens hit the home run in Boston. Do you want to see more Cody Clemens at bats? Do you want to see Mickey Gasper the way he was going? No, you don't. You definitely do not.
In baseball terminology, it's driftwood, and that's not to be disrespectful. It's just that if you're giving Royce these at-bats or plate appearances, you're assuming that they are working toward an end where he finds a swing. And if the results are going to be roughly the same, he's not doing anything Mickey Gasper wasn't capable of doing, although he's been hitting pretty good at St. Paul here the last few days.
Yes. There's
really no net difference there. There's a lot of times you can say, is this really hurting the team or helping the team or the player? In this instance, I think they're hitting Lewis low enough in the order where it just kind of is like, what you get is what you get from a guy down there.
And you hope that once it clicks for him, it will click in a game and you'll get a couple extra at-bats than you otherwise would have with him being hot. It's
where he hits 3 grand slams.
Yes, 3 grand slams and 1 at-bat somehow. So,
if anybody,
but I really liked that part of the game in the Bailey Ober sense, the grindy part of it with Lee not giving up. It was important to show, and Rocco made a mention of it too. What did he say? That was a dog fight and not a dog bleep type of game. Twins manager Rocco Baldelli said there was not a lot that came easy to us. I think it showed real toughness in a lot of different ways. So Rocco's selling it. Not just to the fans, but I think he's, to any players who are listening, just remember this the next time you're struggling, that if you stay in the fight, good things are going to happen. Just, keep with your process, keep your head about you. These are good lessons to learn. I think good indicators of why Rocco is a good manager too, for anybody willing to listen to things like that. I know people don't want to hear it.
I think Buxton or somebody had an 0-for-4 game and then hit a big hit in their 5th at bat earlier this season, or maybe it was, I don't know if it was a home run or a big ringing double like Lee had, but it's stay the course. It's a game of frustration and failure, and if you can keep your head above water, you'll have a chance in the end.
Let us take our last break, and then we will talk more Twins baseball in this episode of Locked On Twins. Imagine that.
All right. NBA playoffs in full swing. I got to take in Timberwolves and Golden State Warriors with one of our good friends, Grant. And it was a blast. Of course, when you start ahead 13-0 and up 25-7 at some point, didn't quite stay at that deficit all night long. But by the end, they smoked them pretty good. That was a lot of fun. But another way to have fun, because every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments, you can get in on the action with FanDuel, because FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and during the game live with player props, performance trends, same-game parlays, those SGPs you hear about. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. And if your first $5 bet hits, they're going to hook you up with $200 in bonus bets. Who do you think is heating up? I think pretty much anybody shooting three-pointers for the Timberwolves only had anywhere to go but down. And they actually showed up and showed out against the Warriors in game 2. Kind of looked like a G League game for the Warriors, who played 14 different players. Not exactly a playoff rotation, but I digress, and quite frequently. New to FanDuel, this is the perfect time to sign up, because, again, if you go to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet, they'll hook you up $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. And by the way, Wolves in 5.
Wolves in 5, huh? Well, we're back for our final segment, and I think that's possible. I think they're
Twins in 3, as in against the Orioles.
Right. And what? Yeah, exactly.
Maybe against the Giants too.
So a couple more things. One more looking back at the game and then looking at the next one. Griffin Jax. I haven't seen much written about it yet, but he is throwing a cutter. He did not throw any traditional fastballs. He didn't throw any. He threw sweepers. He threw a sinker. So he did throw a traditional. He threw one sinker, stayed away from the four-seamer. That's been giving him, like Arenado hit a home run on a four-seamer at the top of the zone. And there was one other like that too.
After.
Yeah. So he's been getting burned with that a little bit. Not really bad pitches, but just people have been kind of lying in wait, ready to pounce, hunting, whatever the term you want to use for Jax. And so ambush. They like that ambush.
Yep.
But he has worked on he's thrown a cutter before. I was looking up some old stories, and Griffin Jax, when he was a starter, was messing around with a cutter, and he was messing around with being a starter. So obviously he has changed and is in the bullpen and is willing to make that change.
Very Liam Hendricks.
Absolutely. So, but I think it's, his last few outings have been much better than his first. And some of it has to do with his varied pitch arsenal and being able to throw a cutter, being able to throw a sinker, staying away, being unpredictable. It's funny how, this is one of the best pitchers in the league, and he still has to work at adapting to, I think it's something that we kind of, we assume that, these guys are going to be great forever, but they're always working on stuff because the other side's working on stuff. I'm just impressed that Pete Mackey was able to, I'm sure, put it into practice, and Jax was able to put it on the field. And it's a little impressive thing for him, I think, to be able to be this versatile as a pitcher and needed to be dominant.
I've heard of pitchers calling a slider, a cutter, a short slider. You throw it harder, a little less break. Is there a chance that he's doing a shorter sweeper? Like, is that
I don't know for a fact because I don't know if anybody's talked to him about it. One, or maybe two, and one, Statcast did not know at first what it was that Jax was throwing. This is back-to-back outings for him. In the previous outing, they were misclassifying. They were calling it a four-seamer at 93 miles an hour, and people were, nerds were like losing their whatever.
Yeah.
What is wrong with Jax? He's 4 mile an hour is too slow on the four-seamer. But it was throwing a cutter. But the computer was fooled and didn't realize that the algorithm was fooled. It didn't know it until the next day or later that day or whatever. And it's not something that has come up in any notebooks yet or features or whatever on Jax that I've seen. Maybe it has, and I've missed it. But
that's
so I don't know.
Like us.
I suppose.
You really. People like you. I didn't do anything here.
Well, Brandon, you play your role.
Yeah.
So there's also, I'm kind of sick to my stomach right now for real talk. And Joe Ryan was sick for days and actually has been sick for a couple of weeks, he said, like vomiting a lot. I don't know if this has anything to do with Bailey Ober's illness from a month ago or Harrison Bader being out of the lineup. If there's a kissing disease going around in the Twins, are they getting too friendly? I've seen Carlos Correa kiss the trainer on the head. Should they not be doing that?
It's a twist on the home run sausage. They're passing on the illness.
Wow.
Right?
The rally cooties. The Twins have rally cooties going on.
We're either on to something or we're on something. And honestly, I don't want to really dive into that too deeply.
It could be either. But Joe Ryan was supposed to, or both. Joe Ryan was supposed to pitch Thursday and Wednesday and Thursday. So they shuffled the rotation, but were able to compensate for it. He's going to go
Saturday.
Today is Saturday. He's going to pitch Saturday.
I love that for me because I'm writing the notes for Fox, and now I can replace my Chris Paddock notes, which stunk. It's no fun to write about Chris Paddock. No disrespect to the Cowboy. But by the way, his ex-girlfriend is dating Dylan Cease. Neither here nor there. But Joe Ryan is a lot more fun to write about than Chris Paddock. So
Ryan is a hoot. He is a hoot. So, all right. Well, that's going to wrap. Well, hopefully Joe Ryan says he's fine. Mm-hmm. Bailey Ober said he was really tired. Hopefully it's not Barfarama on Saturday for the Twins or any
on the
other
field
day.
or off the field for that matter.
Absolutely. But in the meanwhile, I hope you're feeling good at home because we want to thank you. Thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So for Brandon Warren, this is Dave Brown, wishing you all a very pleasant good evening, saying that we will Alexei Casilla tomorrow night.